13, Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. As always, please add your name and affiliation to the list here so we can see who's been regularly attending. Okay, I'm going to pause here. We have our agenda before us, but if there's something you want to add that's not on the agenda yet, feel free to chime in now or to add it to the any other business section. If something comes up along the way, either jump in at the right point or add it as it comes to you, and we'll tackle it at any other business section. Don't have a lightning talk scheduled this week, so if there's one that you'd like to give, please reach out to me. We'll get that set up. And let's take a look at the recent end user raised issues. See a new blocker that's come in. JDK 8.
There's 3 of them.
3 of them, eh? Okay, why don't we deal with those when we get to the release plan? Otherwise, there's a concern around heap dumps, performance gap. Are there any of these that need discussion today, other than the 3 that are part of the release plan? Okay. Jump back to this, and we'll pull up the release plan. I see, Pete, that you've updated this with so we have the list of 4 blockers here and 12 issues.
Yeah, so there were 3 reported by the same person, crashes and incorrect results from the JIT. So I've marked them all as blockers because they are all easily recreatable.
Are they new since the last release?
No, they're not new. But since they're easily recreatable, they seem important enough to get fixed if possible. Especially the one about giving the incorrect result. I mean, that just seems really bad. I think I'd rather live with a crash than live with the wrong answer.
Yes. You look at a test case like this, you always wonder how this actually got boiled out of somebody's application. But
yeah, so I whittled it down a little. If you go further down, I've made it smaller. There's some extra stuff that's not needed to recreate it. And it seems to recreate more easily on P-Linux than on X-Linux. And it seems to have something to do with the embedded for loops, because if you change the for loop conditions, then the problem goes away.
I can reproduce it 100% of the time, so I've already got it down to a particular transformation or a particular optimization, so I need to drill further down there. It only occurs at scorching, it seems. So we'll see where we can get with it.
Right. Do you think that's likely the same root cause as the other, or related to the other 2 crashes?
I don't know. I just assigned those to Annabelle and Henry this morning, so I don't think they've had a chance to look at it. I've been away, so I just got back this morning, so they just probably have seen them just today. So
they only came in yesterday, so. But I was able to recreate them all. They seem easily recreatable.
So that's those 3 blockers, and then I guess the other blocker we have is...
Yeah, some mild progress on that one. There was some questions around the origin of where those parameter slots were coming, or parameter values were coming from. So I did get a log for the failing case. I did see that we are at least attempting to populate the OSR buffer correctly, and so the stores are there, but what we're writing is a bit of a question at this point. So I need to add some instrumentation to the JIT in order to determine what those values are. So that's progressing. Again, this only fails with a JIT stress mode. So
Well, that's those four. Pete, is there anything else in this list that needs to be called out?
There's the GCC 10 warnings, which I think got resolved. The changes went into OMR, and there was a reference from some of the other OpenJ9 PR.
yeah, I saw while I was away that Keith left a comment. I didn't. Yeah, sorry, I haven't had time to look at that yet. But
Uh,
essentially, the fix for this is the same one. I introduced the same fix for this that OpenJDK introduced to work around this problem that they saw. In that it turns off the ABI warnings from GCC if run with a GCC version greater than 9. So this just sort of perpetuates that option down into OpenJ9.
so there's the question of, do we want to put that same change in the 0.33 release or not? And then we can think about closing this. I think I've resolved Keith's comment.
Um, we, I mean, we could. It's not something that's going to be visible. Let me think about that. I don't think it's something that's going to be visible to the end user. It's really only somebody that's building this that's going to encounter this warning. And even then, it's more of an informational warning that, hey, you got to look out for this bug in GCC. So I'm not sure if it has to get into 0.33, but it's
Yeah,
probably relatively safe to do it if we want to.
I don't have strong feelings one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree with Daryl. It's probably not needed, but it would be safe. So I would favor leaving it out unless somebody has a reason to include it.
Is what I'm hearing there consensus to move this out of the 33 release then?
I think we can just close it. The changes merged. We don't have anything else to do. It's done.
No, the OMR change is not merged.
Yeah, the OMR change isn't merged yet, I don't think.
Oh, I thought I saw it was.
No, it uses an operator that's not supported in the version of CMake we claim to support.
Okay, I must have looked at the wrong OMR change then. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'll look at that too. That's right. Haven't seen that yet.
I will leave
But
this
yeah,
for
I don't think we'll fix it in 33, but we will fix it in head in the master branch.
so I will retarget it to 34 because that'll pick up it at the appropriate time. Is there anything else in this list that we need to talk about or take a look at?
I did move some things out to the backlog. I left the things that were user raised, but it is getting kind of late if we don't already have solutions. But they are on the JIT, so I guess Daryl can decide what he wants to do with them.
Okay, I'll have to take a look through this list then for the 33 targeted ones. Walker. I know that some of them we have been making some progress on some of them, but they may not be ready in the next few days.
Yeah, we're about 2 weeks from the M2 start, so not a lot of time to get things resolved. So I think at this point, Daryl, if you'll take a look at that list, that'll give us a better sense of where we're at.
Yep.
Anything else we need to talk about for the 0.33 release? Brings us to the Java 19 release, where we're also about a week away from our intended branch date. Do we still intend to branch on that date? There's 67 open items in here, many of them
Aren't we
Bloom
branching in
related.
July?
Yeah, not till July.
Thank you. That makes so much more sense. I thought that seemed early for us, but all right.
Give a lot of people a heart attack on the call, Dan.
Yeah, Apologies for that.
We are working. The extensions repo did get branched, and we are working on that, getting the infrastructure changes in place so that we can build from the new extensions repo.
That means we're in a much better position than I thought. For some reason, I was misreading July is June. So, all right, there's 67 items in here. That's probably too many to talk about what's in this plan directly, unless there's something somebody wants to call out, or there's some issue that needs some particular piece of discussion. Otherwise, we'll jump back to the agenda and we can talk about Loom and Panama individually. Jack on the call. Jack, do you have an update on Loom?
Yes, Dan. So for Loom, we have been looking at some of the failures in test, and it was tracked under the PR I have posted in the list. In terms of the Loom support work, there have been draft PRs created to get the core VM and JCL structures in. I am going through some of the review comments from both the VM team and the GC team, which and updating some of the requirements to match the behavior to better suit GC collection for virtual threads. So far, I think that should be done either today or tomorrow, and hopefully it will be getting merged this week. In terms of timeline, the June 24th date is still viable as of now. We don't see any significant blockers in not making that date. From the GC side, Lynn have been working on adding some of the new structure works for supporting collection of virtual thread, which mainly is the core native related class, the continuation class. We're still discussing in terms of what exactly should happen with the internal structure for continuation, which we have now named like J9 VM continuation. I believe our target was that GC will be responsible for cleaning it and maintaining the list of all constructed continuation objects. There might be further discussions in terms of what we need to do in order to support the suspend all virtual thread and resume all virtual thread functionality in the future. Possibly we may need to maintain a separate list for all the live virtual threads object as well. But we'll look deep in that later. Other than that, I've mostly been looking at a refactor on Javelin thread in order to fix a JDK 8 related failure that was due to the rename for adding an additional wrapper to thread yield, which is causing some problem with JCK testing.
When you say suspend all virtual threads, are you talking about the JVM TI?
Yes.
Okay. So you're aware of the changes needed there as well. Good.
Yeah.
Any other comments or concerns around Loom?
I guess Toby and Lynn might have more to add if they have anything.
Then I guess we'll move to Panama. Cheng, is there an update there?
Hi, Dan. In terms of the changes on the Java 19, I think it's already fixed all the issues. Wherever all changes on all support platform. There's split code change, restless code change out. And for code review, you can see the list of all of them. So that's about it.
In terms of the primitive support for
power. Yeah, they're already done. That's what I'm done.
That's done?
Yeah. Have not yet updated. the document.
It would be, if I was to approach this, I would build myself a spreadsheet that had each of the platforms, the pieces that needed to be done. I would color code them the red, yellow, green, blue, be able to tell what's in progress, what's on track, and what's completed.
Okay.
It'd be a very easy thing to see where we are in terms of being able to meet that release date. So you're tracking this, so if this works for you and for your stakeholders, great. But it's something to consider is building that easy to see visualization that shows if we're on track or not.
Okay.
Right. Any questions or concerns around Panama? Actually, I did want to ask, we have the Thunk code ready within approximately 1 or 2 months for Linux 390 and x86. And I think we've been talking about this for at least 1 month, maybe more now. Are we on track for this?
So the Z code has been reviewed. At least Z Linux. I have to check what's going on with ZOS. x86. The code hasn't started yet, but research into the calling conventions for passing structs by value has already happened, because that's the key piece to figure out. So I was planning on getting started on that late last week, but other things kind of got in the way, so that hasn't happened yet. But the wheels should start turning on that this week. Kono-san's already been working on AR64. And same bottleneck with the struct passing convention on AR64, but he is making progress. I don't have an ETA yet for when either of those are going to land, but at this point, I am still informally looking at end of June, but we'll have to see how things go depending on what other things come up.
Daryl. All right. That brings us to the regular adopt update. Anyone from the adopt community want to call out if there's anything we should be aware of?
Nothing in particular. We're doing a lot of work on the SBOM support at the moment in various aspects of reproducibility and tightening up the pipeline a little bit in terms of getting a secure software supply chain. That's mostly what we've been working on, most of the team have been working on recently. And nothing. I'm having a discussion with Adam at the moment about signing, because we're about to implement GPG signing, and I want to make sure that doesn't affect any of the OpenJ9 pipelines negatively.
Okay. Stuart? Adam, is there an update on infrastructure?
Yeah, not a whole lot to update. We are working on templating that new Windows machine and getting that rolled out. So that's in progress. The one thing I did want to discuss are, and Joe knows more about this, but he's off this week. Our main technical contact for UNB was a student, and he's leaving soon. I don't know what it actually says in the contract about support for this, but that will be a concern for us if there's more technical things that need to be done there. We still have contacts there, but he held the knowledge for all the technical side of it. So,
Actually, Adam, he's already gone,
okay.
and he did leave. There is a follow-on contact. I'm sure he must have left that name with Joe.
The only other one I know about is Deverne.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay. I wasn't sure how technical he was. So,
Yeah, well, he's our main contact now, I believe.
okay. So I just wanted to make the team leads aware of that if we get into a situation where there needs to be a chunk of work done. It might be delayed or it might be that we need to send someone. I'm not sure at this point. I'll talk to Joe more about that. So, and just as a refresher, that's our Macs, our X boxes, and our P boxes.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. Is there an update on CMake, Devin? Don't actually see Devin on the call. Okay. Don't see Marius, so I don't think there's an update from the JIT server side of things. Coming up on the next microJIT meeting. I haven't been able to attend those meetings for quite some time now. I'm just curious, does anyone have a status update on how the microJIT work is going and what the next step on that is?
I don't know if I have the official next step on that one, and I haven't been able to attend many of those either, except if they specifically need something from me. But I do know that they have a pull request that's been outstanding. I believe it's in the OMR repo. It's had a fair number of people review parts of it. It's about 10,000 lines of code. It implements a subset of the bytecodes, mainly things like arithmetic operators, logical operators, and that. But a lot of the ones that may be of interest for running real applications haven't been done yet. But it certainly is a starting point. I had it on my list to try and get through a thorough review of that by the end of the month, by the end of June. So that's what I'm targeted. That's what I'm targeting, but other things keep getting in the way that they need to get done. But at this point, I believe they are waiting for reviews to finish and that PR to land. They can make further progress from that. So that's sort of the extent of it that I know. Certainly Marius would know more.
Is the intention then to land that in the mainline code? At this point,
I think as much as possible, yes. I don't know if they've discussed putting this in a separate branch. I think it is mainline code. It does live in a separate directory, which makes it easier to isolate. But the real risk about having it in a separate branch is obviously the lack of testing that would occur on that, and the currency of it relative to the rest of the JVM. So, as much as possible, we'd like to get that in the mainline branch.
There's also an OpenJ9 PR open that has a number of comments, but there hasn't been any comments on it recently.
okay. So the majority of this code, though, is in its own separate directory. So it's not significantly increasing the complexity of the code base to have this in there. Is that what I'm hearing?
I see on the OpenJ9 side, I see a microJIT subdirectory of compiler.
Actually, Pete, you're right. Sorry, I was wrong. It is an OpenJ9 PR. Sorry, I think I have something else. It's not an OMR.
Yeah, it might be good to get them to come give a lightning talk or an update on this as we get closer to being ready to merge it in, just to make sure that there's broad awareness of what that will do to our overall architecture. And
Not all in a subdirectory. I see.
Yeah, there are
things
some
being
tendrils
changed.
into some of the JIT control logic to invoke the microJIT, I believe.
okay, I don't think we need to do the review on this call, but we should be thinking about with the overall architecture and overall plan for this before we merge it into mainline.
We can keep an eye out for Marius joining the call and see if he'll give us an update.
Yeah, I can just ask him too.
Daryl. Toby, is there an update on CRIU?
No, not much to discuss this week.
Daryl, is there an update on the Mac M1 work?
Not really. Other than we're just stabilizing things. The compressed refs work has been sort of pushed back a little bit. It's mainly because we just have other higher priority things that we need to put our resources on. So that we're not going to make JDK 19 for compressed ref support, but we're still thinking about stabilizing the large heap Mac M1 work and getting that out on IBM Semaru for others to use. So things are relatively stable there. I mean, we have a few problems here and there, some of them harder to diagnose, but we do want to get those stabilized for 0.34. But for compressed refs, we might want to push that out a couple of iterations while some of those design issues get thought about, and we have people in place that can make progress on that.
Thanks, Daryl. Abneet, any update on the OpenJDK method handles in 8 and 11?
Work is in progress for a number of tasks which are listed in the doc. Jet work is in progress for the inliner and memory optimizations, and there's going to be a talk at the end of the month. It's going to be a runtime's Vitality talk on method handles, and then there's also a blog which is being written. And the tasks are in order of priority. And I think this sums up my update. I'll pass it back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Pavneet. Is there anything else that we need to discuss today? Right, on that basis, thanks everybody, and we'll meet again next week.
Thank you.